From the Network 10 News Centre across Australia, this is the Late News. I'm Danielle Isdale. On tonight's program, horrific scenes in Gaza and Israel. The death toll on both sides mounts as diplomatic efforts to broker a ceasefire continue. We speak to a reporter in Gaza. More details revealed on the terms of reference of Australia's biggest ever Royal Commission. The National Inquiry into child sex abuse should begin investigating thousands of cases by early next year. And after an impressive 15 years on Broadway, The Lion King is preparing to roar its way back to Australia. Angela Bishop is in New York for us. Also ahead, how does Australia measure up in promoting women into top business positions? Brad has the night's sport, and you can join the conversation using hashtag 10late or tweet me direct at Danny Isdale. First, though, the story's unfolding right now. Here's Hermione Kitson.
Thanks, Danny. The hunt is continuing tonight for the killer or killers of Melbourne woman Sarah Kathake, whose body has now been formally identified. Alicia Morrison joins us live from Melbourne with the details. Alicia, do police have any suspects? A quick look at the weather across the country tonight. It's currently 27 degrees in Townsville, 23 in Brisbane, 17 in Sydney, 18 in Melbourne, 25 degrees in Adelaide and 19 in Perth. I'll have tomorrow's forecast a little later. Also ahead, the red carpet premiere of the new film Hitchcock in New York. Danny.
Thanks, Hermione. After 6 days of Israeli airstrikes on Gaza, the UN Secretary-General is set to visit the region to try to implement a ceasefire. Israel says it's targeting the homes of Hamas militants and overnight has targeted around 80 sites, including weapons storage facilities and police stations. 85 people have now been killed in the clashes. Here's CNN reporter Sarah Sidner in Gaza with more.
It's been a very busy 24 hours here. We've been hearing the sounds of booms coming from actually the sea for most of the time overnight. Those cannons coming in from the Israeli naval ship.
With us tonight is Wadar Khanfar. He's a former Director General of Al Jazeera News and has been voted in the top 100 global thinkers for his knowledge of Arab issues. Mr. Khanfar, you're here to speak at the World Public Relations Forum, but you come at an interesting time. We've seen reports of horrific casualties in Gaza and Israel. You've had reports from the ground in Gaza. Can you describe what you've heard?
No, actually the situation is very bad and it is deteriorating. Every hour we have new shelling of Gaza and we have more victims. Most of them are civilians, unfortunately.
Thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it. Stay with us. Still to come on 10's Late News, changing the business landscape, the push for compulsory spots on company boards for women. An historic meeting between President Obama and Aung San Suu Kyi in Burma. And The Lion King set to return to Australia after a 15-year run on Broadway. Join the conversation using @10latenews. You can also like us on Facebook. Hermione, what's going on tonight?
Thanks, Danny. Barack Obama has become the first serving US president to visit Burma. In landmark recognition of the country's shift to democracy, he met with his Burmese counterpart as well as Aung San Suu Kyi.
Under President Thein Sein, the desire for change has been met by an agenda for reform. A civilian now leads the government, and a parliament is asserting itself.
President Obama is now in Cambodia for the East Asia Summit. And Toni Collette has strolled the red carpet with her fellow cast members for the premiere of Hitchcock in New York. The film explores the love story between the director and his wife during the making of Psycho.
It couldn't have happened without Anthony Hopkins, and he was the one who said to me, "You have no experience, you're completely crazy, and I'm in."
The movie opens here next month. I'll update our top stories a little later, Danny.
Thanks, Hermione. Now, women will make up at least 40% of non-executive boards in Europe by 2014 if the EU Justice Commissioner has her way. So how diverse are Australia's top companies compared to the rest of the world? In the United States, there are 19 women holding a chief executive position within a Fortune 500 company. The youngest of them, 37-year-old Yahoo CEO Marissa Mayer, who has just returned to the office 2 weeks after giving birth to her first child. In the UK, just 2 women currently hold the top spot in FTSE 100 companies. Alison Cooper at Imperial Tobacco Group is one of them. And Australia has 6 female chief executives in the ASX 200 companies. Perhaps the best known is Gail Kelly, the CEO of Westpac, who worked her way up in banking after starting as a teller. Juliette Sarli from CommSec joins me now. Juliette, it looks like there could be a new buyer for troubled surfwear retailer Billabong.
Danny, it's been a really tough year for Billabong shareholders. We've had 3 failed takeover bids for the surfwear retailer, sending its share price down 76% in the last 12 months. But today it looks like there could be a knight in shining armour on the way in the form of the head of Billabong's US operations, a man called Paul Node. Now, he's a director of the company. He stood down from that position while he mulls over this private takeover, the board giving him 6 weeks to come up with the finances. But the news certainly impressed Billabong shareholders today, its share price spiking by 10% in today's trade. And in some not so good news, more Australian jobs could be headed overseas. Yes, it's all due to the mining slowdown. We've heard from drilling company Boat Longyear, and basically it's had a substantial profit downgrade today, and in order to cut costs, it's slashing 1,800 jobs. It's also moving its main Perth operations over to Poland. So some sad news there, more Aussie jobs being lost, but Boat Longyear is certainly trying to get its finances in order. Its share price was up 8% today, and it'll next update the market early next year, Danny.
Juliette Sarli from CommSec, thank you.
Thanks.
Taking a look at the figures, the ASX 200 finished the day more than 0.5% higher. Tokyo's Nikkei recorded strong gains. And a short time ago, London's FTSE had climbed almost 1%. From the circle of life to the circle of news, Hermione joins me, and Brad, I hear you have some sport for us?
I do. Yes, I do this time of the night. Good work, Danny, doing a wonderful job indeed. After the break, has Quade Cooper played his last game for the Wallabies? A new date for the Kurt Tippett Crows hearing, and the Rabbitohs say they will be fine without Rusty. Plus, can bat, can't bowl. So where does that leave Shane Watson for the second test? And the world's #1 tennis player shows he can more than hold his own on the soccer pitch.
Welcome back, and Brad is here with all the sport.
Thank you very much, Danny. Yet another chapter tonight in Quade Cooper's tumultuous and often strained relationship with the Australian Rugby Union, with reports he's quit the Wallabies to pursue a career overseas or in rugby league. If it is true, the ARU is none the wiser. A spokesperson saying no communication has been made with Cooper or his management regarding his contract negotiations. Cooper was offered a low-paying incentive-based contract by the ARU 3 weeks after it enforced a $40,000 fine and suspended playing ban for publicly criticising the Wallabies and coach. Player of the day, and here's one for any A-League teams chasing David Beckham. If you're after a star, you miss out on Becks. What about Novak Djokovic, the tennis world #1, showing his skills at a promotional match in Brazil? He's scored a goal, he set one up, he even thinks he's a chance of getting a professional contract.
If they call me, I would maybe consider.
It's the only time he is glad to hit the back of the net, and for that, he gets our player of the day. Well done. Some people might say tennis players today are too robotic, boring. I wouldn't say that. He is excellent for tennis. He's fun.
Yes. Would he make more money as a professional tennis player or a professional soccer player?
He wouldn't make it as a professional soccer player.
Had he chosen that path?
No idea. Tennis.
Big greedy. He should stick to doing what he loves. It's not fair that he'd be that elite at both sports.
Hey, shouldn't be that multi-skilled.
Paying the bills.
All right, follow us on Twitter at 10 Late News. Still to come, tomorrow's weather, bedtime bites, and Pink goes grunge for a high-energy performance at the American Music Awards. Welcome back. Hermione is here with a recap of our top story.
Thank you, Danny. Intense fighting is continuing in Gaza. As tensions between Israel and Hamas escalate, there have been fresh airstrikes and more casualties. Yesterday was the deadliest day of the six-day conflict, with 29 Palestinians killed. Israel's Prime Minister has warned he's ready to significantly expand the operation. And the public is being urged to help form the federal government's Royal Commission into child abuse. A consultation paper has been released asking for feedback on its terms of reference by November 26. The inquiry will look at how allegations have been handled by various institutions. The PM hopes it will be up and running by the start of next year. Taking a look at the weather across the country for tomorrow, 31 expected in Townsville, 26 the top in Brisbane, 22 in Sydney, 23 in Canberra, 28 in Melbourne, 24 degrees in Hobart, 37 in Adelaide, 28 in Perth and 34 degrees in Darwin.
Now, before we go tonight, bedtime bites and what we're reading online. My bedtime bite, provided I can make my fancy machine work, is from my favourite columnist, Charlie Brooker, from the Guardian website. He basically gives I'll see if I can find it. Here it is. He basically gives a highway code, 3 simple rules to using Twitter, how not to get yourself into trouble. I think the best one is toward the end, where he says, don't form a mob on the basis of anything that you read less than a minute ago.
Okay.
What's yours, Hermione?
Good advice. Mine's an article about how James Bond star Daniel Craig surprised some troops in Afghanistan. There was about 800 of them waiting to see the film. And then they got to meet the star himself.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Bond,
nice
James
surprise.
Bond. Mine, this is an idea from a guy I've never heard of, who was in a TV show I've never heard of, but it's a good idea. This is his 4-in-1 prototype for a flat. It's 1 bedroom flat, but it turns into 4 rooms. As he says, have a look, scroll down the pictures there. It's using technology and engineering we have in... Oh, it's not working, but doesn't matter. We'll work it out. Technology we have in yachts and cars. It's about rooms folding up, folding out and folding in. It's really interesting and it's an excellent idea.
Fantastic. All right, we'll tweet all those links.
Yes.
That is all from the team here at The Late News. Thank you for having me. We'll leave you with Pink's impressive performance at today's American Music Awards. Good night.